Now, who you going to call?
Not the GBs.
No, who you going to call?
J-Dub and AG.
That's right, and if you ever riff with either one of us, break out before you get bum rushed at the Wild, Wild West. That's right, people. We're talking about one of the all-timers today. I hope you're ready to get into the Will Smith Classic from 1999. Let's go. Don't ask me what any of that means. That's just straight out of the Wild Wild West song.
Straight to the Wild Wild West song. He knows.
Whatever he knows, he wrote it.
He knows.
Yeah. That's all that matters. Will knows. Welcome this morning, guys. Welcome to another incredible Saturday morning. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing okay.
All right, great. Joe Gorotowski is with us today. And Joe and I were up late last night filming a movie, so I'm interested to see where the energy level is going to be at today.
Oh, all right here. This is all I have.
This is it. He's at max level. And also joining us, Kurt Mummer. Kurt, how are you today, sir?
I am fantastic today, sir. Yeah, you came in here at a 10, like an 11.
I love the enthusiasm.
That's right, yeah.
Hey, who's this guy?
The mystery man that you just heard.
Watching. Don't mind me.
This is Tanner Adams. Tanner is our first time. Well, I should say this. Let me start over. This is Tanner. Tanner is a first-time guest to Bad Movies Rule, beaming in all the way from Texas, just outside Houston.
Pew, pew.
That's right. Tanner, how are you this morning, sir?
I am awake, present in mind, if not in body and spirit.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I watched the new Marvel movie yesterday, The Eternals.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
No spoilers.
I won't get too much into it. Yeah, no spoilers. It was okay.
Okay.
It was okay.
Fair enough. I haven't really seen much of Phase 4 yet. I've seen Black Widow and then some of the Disney Plus content, but I haven't seen Shang-Chi or
Same here.
Eternals or I don't know if there's anything else I'm missing besides that. But
I really like Shang-Chi.
I went the Spider-Man route.
Okay.
I've been into that lately.
There you go.
That one's going to be good.
Well, I'm excited to have Tanner because Tanner is the creator of a podcast that I found and greatly enjoyed. It's actually and hopefully I explained this right, Tanner, and I won't give anything away. Again, no spoilers, but it's a narrative podcast. It's a story-driven podcast called Pit of the West, and it's essentially about a cowboy who makes a deal with a bad dude. Would that be about right?
That's about right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool because it blends like horror elements with Old West act, which I'm just been a Western nut forever. So I feel like it was made specifically for me, and it was a good cross section of those two genres.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to write, and working on season 2.
Awesome, man. And where can people find, if they want to go listen to Pit of the West, where can they find it?
They can find it on most podcasting apps. They should be able to find it. I'm also on another show. I'm a guest. Well, I'm a voice on the second season of Dust World, which is a actual play set in a sci-fi anime themed post-apocalyptic world. So I play Doc Miller on that. The conscience of the group. I don't think that's entirely accurate, but I'm on that one too.
All right. Awesome. Well, look, man, I'm so thrilled that you're here. If you get a chance, check out some of Tanner's other work. Go for it. I know, at least for Pit of the West, I can speak from experience. It's really, really great. So today we are talking about, as I said in the intro, one of the all-timers. I think when you talk about big-time Hollywood bombs, Wild Wild West is it bombed. It famously bombed. It was the first chink in the armor for Will Smith.
Well, Will Smith was. I thought this was Leonardo DiCaprio and.
No, you're talking about The Quick and the Dead, right?
No. It was Samuel L. Jackson, Leonardo DiCaprio, and
I thought I was watching The Revenant.
Oh, that's right. Oh, wait, that's Django Unchained.
No, we're not.
Okay, sorry. I think I may have watched the wrong movie. It was very violent. I thought it was.
Is all of your content today centered around Django Unchained?
maybe.
Okay, well, this will be real interesting.
Woo!
All right, let's get some of the vitals out of the way. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Wild Wild West came out at the end of the 90s, one of the best decades for movies. And I feel like this was just a terrible way to wrap up the summer blockbuster season of the 90s.
No way.
But I'm getting ahead of myself here. The movie was directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who had worked with Will Smith many times before to great success, which is probably why people thought this was going to be a slam dunk. And generally here we'd say who was written by, but this movie, I think it's best described as written by committee. There was at least 8 writers that I saw listed on the sheet, and from what I read, some of those original writers said the script by the end had nothing to do with what they wrote. They tried to get their names off of it, and just one of those Hollywood movies that was just kind of churned around and written by way too many people.
So it was going to be doomed from the get-go, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, occasionally you might see a good movie that was written by committee, but most of the time it's a mess. So
wait, I thought that the more writers you had, the better it was, because everyone's contributing their individual talents and
That's
having
right.
their voices heard. Yeah.
That's right. There's too many chefs in the kitchen. What is that? That's not a thing.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. I see no problem with this.
The movie starred Will Smith, Kevin Kline, Kenneth Branagh, and Salma Hayek. Do you guys have any idea what the budget of this film was?
Was it 117 million?
That's right. 170. It was Warner Brothers.
70 or 17?
70.
I was off then. I was wrong.
One of their most expensive movies they've ever made. Okay. And so this is a interesting point because you look at what it made box office wise and say, okay, it made a profit because it made 220 million.
Yeah.
But that's nothing when you spend 170 million on a movie, because then you talk about marketing expenses, all those other things get roped into it. You're hoping when you spend that much money on a movie, that's like Marvel level. You're hoping to come in like over 500, close to $1 billion in box office.
Wow.
And it just didn't do that at all. It only made like 113 in the United States. That's really bad.
Yeah.
And considering at the time, you guys, Will Smith was like considered box office gold, like can't miss.
Yeah, this came right after Men in Black.
Right. And before that, Independence Day, and it had become a running thing. Oh, Will Smith's going to do a 4th of July movie, and it's going to be huge because both of those other 2 hits came out at the 4th of July. And so this came out on the 4th of July. And
great presidential speech, of course, Independence Day. It goes without saying, but I love that.
Independence Day will never, ever appear on this podcast. It's too good. It's too good.
It's got one of the greats, Lone Star.
That's right. Lone Star from Spaceballs is the president.
Yep.
One who would dare give me raspberry.
That's right. Yeah, and so I think it's obvious in retrospect why it didn't do well, but I think people had high expectations at the time that Wild Wild West came out. But it currently sits at a 4.9 on IMDb. That is so terrible. And 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
28% with the audience score.
Yeah.
That is low.
It's pretty low.
It's 112% in my pocket.
So,
fan then?
I love this movie.
Okay, good. Well, then we'll start with you, Kurt, because what we'll do is I want to go around. I just want to get everyone's your overall impression of the film. And was this the first time you saw it?
No, I own it on DVD.
Oh.
So I've watched it numerous times.
Okay.
Coming into it, obviously I was a Will Smith fan, watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, growing up with that. Obviously seeing Men in Black, I thought that was a really creative movie. So coming out of seeing him in that, I was like, I want to see this movie. Now, I don't know if too many people know, but this is loosely based on a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Very loosely.
Very loosely.
Yeah.
And they pretty much just took the names. That's pretty much about it.
Loveless, though.
Yeah.
The whole Loveless thing, I don't know if you, we'll get into it later, but that's hilarious, in my opinion.
Absolutely. But I love the movie. I thought it was creative.
Okay.
I liked the little bit of humor that was sprinkled in there. I felt it was very reminiscent of Blazing Saddles. There was a lot of right on the borderline, almost racist comments, but a lot of it was done from Will Smith. So I thought in that aspect, like Blazing Saddles, there was a lot of good humor that came out of that was very sort of edgy, quote, edgy for the time. But I loved it. I thought it was a fun movie, and I think it's a very good popcorn movie. I think you can sit down, you can laugh at it, you're entertained enough, and I overall loved it.
Okay. Joe, how about you? You've seen this before.
Yes, and I just want to say everything Kurt said is wrong. Okay.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, where do you come down on Wild Wild West?
Okay, yeah. So,
Counterpoint.
so I've seen this movie back in the day. Some people are really good at remembering years that they've seen stuff, and it's just all a blur for me. It's just like, okay, I've seen it. When? I don't remember. But I've seen it a lot. And but it's been a long time since I've seen the movie recently. And of course, last night after filming, I quick power watched it and such. And I always say it's when you're in your youth, you see things one way, and when you get older, you see things another. It was very entertaining. It was, like Kurt said, it was very much a popcorn movie. You flip them through the cable channels, that pops up. Yeah, I'm going to leave it on. It's a great movie just to sit and put in the background and such. But I watched it last night again, and there's a lot of holes. A lot of holes. A lot of stuff came up. Of course, I think I'm guilty of watching some of these movies with a little bit more tenacity.
Okay.
Like trying to pick it apart.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's fine. That's what I pay you for.
Yes. Wait, we get paid?
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
You haven't gotten a check yet?
No.
Those residuals, baby.
I pay you guys an unconditional love. All right. So, Tanner, I'm interested to hear your history with this movie. When did you first come across it? Is this one already a favorite of yours, or what'd you think?
I'll be honest. There was a time when I was in high school when I kind of was really into steampunk. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I watched it. I thought it was really cool at the time. Joe, to add to what you said, this is, I'm a little conflicted, and I've kind of been thinking about what I'm going to say about it for a little while now. I enjoyed it. It was a really fun movie because let's look at it this way. When you go to see a Transformers movie, are you going to see it for in-depth characterizations and performances? I mean, no,
Yes.
You're going to go to see giant robots beat the crap out of each other.
Well,
And in that way, you're going to see Wild Wild West for the giant, or for the gadgets. And in that way, it was pretty cool for a movie made in 1999. Not bad, it was cool. I will say the actors have all done so much better movies than that. So I feel like and I didn't know, James, until you had told me that it was written by committee, but I can see that now.
Yeah. No,
They did the best they could.
They did. But apparently it was just constantly changing. Even while they were shooting, they're just constantly rewriting.
Oh,
there were so many people that they were going to have play roles, then to back out.
Right.
The list of people that was supposed to play a role and backed out is
longer.
almost longer than the list of writers. It's amazing.
Well, I appreciate it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The one thing I didn't realize this. I didn't make the connection. So we watched the film version of Hamlet in high school, and it must have been around the same time. I didn't make the connection that was Kenneth Branagh. I'm like, this guy played Hamlet one time?
Yeah, that was only three. Yeah, that was only 3 years earlier. So that was 1996 that they did that, and then he made that jump 3 years later, and now here he is in Wild Wild West. Yeah,
Who is that? Kline?
That's the guy that played Loveless.
Oh,
was literally Hamlet. He was a very serious actor.
He was my favorite. I'm gonna go right out on there.
He owned it 100%.
Yeah. No, look. Here's what I'll say about Kenneth Branagh. He understood the assignment. He knew what kind of movie he was in, and
he channeled Colonel Sanders too. Just nailed it.
Oh yeah, it was good. Well, look, I'm glad, Tanner, and we share an affinity for things in the West, but this isn't really a Western in the traditional sense. I mean, it's technically set in the Old West. Here's what I'll say. I grew up hating this movie because this was one of the movies that my brother watched on rotation, right? So
Yeah, so it was more. See that?
I have a brother who's 9 years younger than me, and it was just like he wore out the VHS of Wild Wild West.
He's
So
also a co-host on this show, I believe.
he is, and so I never even really sat through and watched the whole movie. I would just see parts of it from him constantly watching it. So
I think he's technically like a 9-year-old mentality as well.
yeah, no, he hasn't
There's a
grown
lot
up.
of the nines.
But to sit down and actually watch the movie, having been so long, I was surprised how much I didn't hate it. Right? I'm not going to go so far as to say maybe that it was good, kind of like where you guys might be, but I actually didn't hate it. I think there are many problems. I think problem number one. Yes, Joe.
I was gonna say, do you like Will Smith?
Yes.
Do you like boobs?
I think the big problem. I let you give your opinion on this movie. Let me give mine.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
At this
It was
time.
supposed to be a short joke.
Do you think? Hold on, I lost my train of thought. I think the number one problem for this movie, just from what I've seen of reading people's reactions, is the movie tie-in. I think, or the TV show tie-in. I think a lot of people hate this movie because of what it did to the TV show or how little it stayed true to the original TV show. And so that colored a lot of opinions. If they had just made this movie without that connection, I think people would have remembered it more fondly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? I think the big problem is the script, because it was written by so many people. I feel like the script lacks a center, right? An emotional center. Or it's just kind of one of those scripts that's like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then they went there, and then this happened, right? And then there wasn't really that emotional center to it. But I actually enjoyed it. I thought the comedy was pretty good for the most part, and there was a couple spots where, and I'll go into it as we go through the movie, the comedy probably went just like one step further than it needed to, where it could have been better to
Well, and
rein
that's
it
where
in.
I was saying it's kind of right on the borderline, and maybe racially it was to me it was funny. I mean, in some of those aspects, but like you said, there's a couple of times where you're like, you might have went over the line a little much there.
Yeah, and I don't even think there's. Well, we'll get into all that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just an observation. Let's just say, and this may work for other movies that has, been off of either a novel or a TV show or whatever, or a reboot. What if you just change the name of the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not Wild Wild West, and then change the name of the characters. Okay.
Yeah.
And played no reference to the original. Do you think that would have been a better movie?
I think it would have been more widely accepted. Yeah. I mean, the movie doesn't change, and the movie has problems, but a lot of these kind of big studio action comedies at the time did anyway.
Why do you think they wanted to tie this to Wild Wild West?
Why do they want to tie it to anything ever? It's because it's an existing property that's bankable, that has a cache of fans already that they can count are going to come and buy a ticket, right? It's cashing in on a well-known property, as opposed to a brand new thing that people don't know what it is. Then you've got to, start from scratch.
But they also want to bring in, I will add, they want to bring in new people and fresh blood. So in my eyes, they change it enough to alter it so that they can try and get a whole new group of fans. Much like what he said about Transformers, that's constantly evolving into, almost to where it's almost not the property anymore. I mean, the Transformers we grew up in, didn't happen until the Bumblebee movie.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and to me, that's what made Bumblebee movie awesome, because they kind of brought it back to what the originals were that we grew up loving. And what I feel like James is saying is, if they would have maybe tied it in more to the original story, it might have brought in more people to come in and watch the movie. But unfortunately, they went so far out that it was like, yikes.
Yeah, a lot of lessons are being learned over the years, 'cause as we go back and review these movies. Either you stick with the source material, okay, so you keep those fans, or you go off the reservation. That seems to be the win of the situation. Either do one or the other. A lot of these ones that are trying to stay with the source material, but then try to do something completely different, like the He-Man, this and that. This is where all these movies are really start to crumble.
I agree.
All right, show's over.
He-Man on the show.
What's that, Tanner?
He-Man would make a great episode.
Well, we talked about Masters of the Universe before, but I want to see the new movie. I mean, hopefully there will be one at some point, and I really hope it's not bad enough to make it on our show. Because
nobody hopes more than me.
All right, well let's dive into this movie, and we'll do we'll do our thing. We'll pull it apart and examine it, and then try and answer that question at the end. Is this actually a bad movie or not? So the movie starts with an opening sequence that tried really hard to give me motion sickness. It's like, is this a great way to start the movie? But it's basically a scientist. We learn later it's one of the scientists that's running from Bloodbath McGrath, right? And so to tell people that haven't seen this movie, because I'm surprised how many people that I've heard listen to the show that have never even seen the movie that we're talking about. So I think it's important to set the stage. But basically, there is a madman who has kidnapped scientists, the most important scientists from all over the country, to bring together to build him his super weapon so that he can take over the United States.
Yep.
Fair enough? Okay. And so we find out that this is one of the mechanisms that, Lovelace is revealed to be that madman, played by Kenneth Branagh, is these giant magnetic collars that they shoot these discs that don't obey the laws of physics and magnetism.
Nothing obeys any laws of physics.
No, it's like straight up out of Phantasm.
Yeah.
You throw any logic you have away. Just don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Tanner, but at least they let you know right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was very cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
Perfect. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Magnetic collars. I'm in.
Spider blades of death.
Those things are cool
I'm all
about
for
this
it.
movie. Those aren't the problem with this movie, I feel like. But we're introduced very shortly. It cuts to Jim West, and we get his introduction scene in the water tower.
Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick, I actually had a note for the opening scene.
Yeah.
He sure gave a lot of exposition for a guy that's about to have his head chopped off.
Yeah.
He's like, have to get to the president. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about I need to prevent this saw blade from separating my head from my body.
You're right. He's just yelling exposition as he's running through the field, right? Giant spider, all that stuff. You're right. That was 100% for our benefit. It's almost like he knew he was being filmed for later posterity. So we jump to Jim West, who's hanging out inside a water tower with a scantily clad woman. How did you feel about Jim West's introduction?
Who bathes in a water tower?
I know people got to drink that. That's not cool.
It's cold. Whatever.
How do you get in there?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. There was no ladder leading out of it.
Yeah,
so
they just
I was
climbed
like,
up there, both of them, and brought all those goodies up there. There's candles, and floating
where were their
boxes.
clothes?
Yeah, a table of some sort
Yeah,
or something.
I mean, they got a good setup. They've had to been up there for a while.
Yeah.
It's like a tree house, but with water.
It's like a fort.
Yeah.
Those people
little-
are, again, supposed to drink.
Yeah, no, that's
People have been drinking their bath water.
That's what I'm watching the movie with my wife, and that was the first thing she says is, ew. Right? It's like, I guess they don't really care about that. But the thing that struck me is, and I guess now is as good a time as any to bring it up, this is a PG-13 movie.
Sure
and
it is.
within the first scene, there's a topless woman, and there is just a general obsession with boobs throughout this entire film. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the time period that, everything was bustiers and
I guess, but everyone's hanging out of their clothes in this movie. Everybody.
I understand. There is a lot of naked jokes in this movie.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm one thing, but just the fact that to me, it crossed the line. It came to the point where I'm not making my point the right way. Hang on, let me start over. I personally didn't have a big problem with it, but it seemed like with just the way the camera focused, the way the shots were made up, it seemed to cross the line from just, this is just how we're going to dress them all because it's fun and sexy, to somebody might be a little bit obsessed. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah, it was definitely felt like, either having a scantily clad woman, but now you just have a scantily clad woman with a creep in the corner going, boobies.
Right, exactly. It was like, did the guy that made Game of Thrones, like, was he a second AD on this movie?
Take. But true. I mean, you're not wrong. Well, and you're treated to, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but you're treated to both Kevin Kline and Will Smith dressed up as ladies, and it works both times.
Exactly.
Like, they totally buy that they're women.
A very husky woman Kevin Kline makes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
spectacular jawline.
You just said you've never seen a single episode of Game of Thrones.
Correct.
Okay. Is that like on purpose, or you just haven't had a chance?
I just don't care.
Okay.
He's too busy.
What's the other one?
DVD
Walking
collection.
Dead. That's another one I never seen.
Well, Walking Dead for like 6 seasons, and then it just kind of went.
Yeah.
Is Game of Thrones still good? Is that still on, or is that a thing, or no? No. All right.
No. Just watch it backwards.
Watch it backwards.
Yeah,
it gets better.
Yeah, one comment I want to make about that. The last season was not good, but you know what? I still really enjoyed the other seasons of that show, and I know people really crapped on it, but I thought the rest of it was really good. Until the last one where they're like, all right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it was got a little bit of whiplash there because Kurt, legitimately, for 7 seasons, it was the best show that has ever been on television, in my estimation.
Yeah.
And then in 1 season, it went to one of the most hated shows ever to air on television.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Talk about not sticking the landing. It's like this beautiful gymnast routine, and then they just fall on their face at the end.
Yeah.
Like when they do the flip over instead of landing it with
And you're like, oh,
with the exactly.
Gotcha.
So let's ask this now, because this is Will Smith's intro. They end up getting knocked out of the water tower. He falls into the middle of these group of bad guys. And
I will say this is the funny part to me and where my mind goes. Right, so he falls out, but somehow the girl miraculously stays inside the water tower. And
Oh my God.
she throws his clothes out, and they're not wet.
And they're not wet.
Just some dry clothes. Here you go. Here's your dry clothes.
You seem disappointed that he was the only one that fell out of that water tower.
I'm just saying. I mean, it was a surprise for those 3 bad guys standing there.
He gets in there and he does his whole Will Smith routine, and I think that was part of my issue when I'm watching this. He was still in that part of his career where he was just kind of playing Will Smith.
Yeah.
Right?
This goes back to, was it Robin Hood Men in Tights? He's like, unlike other Robin Hoods, I speak with an English accent.
That's right.
Like, there was no accent with Will Smith.
No.
There was nothing. It was just Will Smith.
Yeah, and that was his thing at the point. He was Will Smith in Independence Day and the same character in Men in Black, and he's just kind of still doing the same thing.
2 points I'd like to make. One, I agree with you on the accent. I really wish he would have had more of a Southern accent or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will also say that the whole reason you go to a Terminator movie or you go to, Stallone is because you are seeing Stallone. As far as I'm concerned, Will Smith is going to play Will Smith in every single movie, other than like when he's trying to do like his serious stuff like Ali and.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying is now.
Yeah.
After
He needed to mature as an actor too.
He has definitely matured, and he does. He has that ability now to be more like a chameleon when he takes on certain parts. And
correct.
And I think this failure may have been a good thing for his career because it broke him out of that.
I can't just be Will Smith all the time.
Can't just be Big Willie and play the same part in every. Well, that was that whole thing, and ended up he could take more chances with his career because he didn't have to do the Will Smith thing every time. So,
but to your point, when he fell out, he's like, "Woo! All right, which one of you boys is next?"
That's right.
Yeah, it was just right into Will Smith. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, as you said, Tanner, we meet Kevin Kline in drag, and I thought for an opening scene, it was a little bit confusing. There's a lot of moving parts, right? They're like, okay, who's this guy? We see Salma Hayek for a second. We know that she has to be important because she's a famous person, but they're not really explaining who she is. McGrath's got some guy he's kidnapped into his room. There's all these like people moving.
Loveless pulls up in the
weirdest parties.
Just a lot of moving parts. But essentially, it's kind of the moment where literally all the main players in the movie come together.
Absolutely.
Within the first, 5 minutes.
Yeah, the saloon whorehouse or whatever you want to call it. Brothel, I don't know.
Yeah.
And Kevin Kline gets Bloodbath McGrath into a bedroom and hypnotizes him.
Yes.
Again, with his breasts.
Well, no, it was a belt. Is it?
Was it a belt?
Yeah, it's a belt.
I thought it was on his chest.
No, it's
I thought later it was when. I think it's the belt.
Okay, maybe it's his belt.
It's the belt.
Like,
no, it's just under.
I'm just really trying to prove my point about the obsession
his
with
boobs were the punching bags. His boobs were his boobs were the punching bags. If you remember, he had the mechanical device that came out and punched the guy in the face.
By the way, the irony of this whole thing is that everybody was in drag except for the guy that was in the side that was with Bloodbath McGrath was the Buffalo Bill.
He was.
From Silence of the Lambs. Talk about,
He was. Same actor.
I'm surprised he wasn't in drag.
I kept calling him Colonel Earhorn because I couldn't think of his name.
Colonel Earhorn. I love
Earhorn guy.
I thought he gave a great performance, and it was genuinely unsettling to look at his.
Oh, yeah. It was gross. He dumped that earwax out of it when he drained it.
Ugh, it was bad. What do you guys think of? So this is also the first time we see Loveless's lovelies, right? These women that go around with him, and I almost spit out what I was drinking when she's literally sitting there telling him what they're saying, and he calls her Miss Lippenreader.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, you had one job, but,
I'm just like, seriously, but. If that's the kind of tone you want to set in the movie, that's fine. You want to at least establish it early. This movie's ridiculous. As you say, it doesn't obey the laws of any physics, these contraptions. And that's fine. If you want to be super over the top and tongue in cheek, I am here for that.
I guess I looked at it like code names. Like he gave them those names.
Yes.
Like, because those are his, like his agents.
You mean her name isn't Munition, the other girl?
Munitia, yeah.
Munitia.
And then there's Amazonia and what was Miss Lee?
Mrs. Lippenreader.
No, but who is the Asian one?
And Mrs. Back-a-massager. I just assume that's her name.
Oh.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
Well, regardless,
yes.
Everybody shows up. He sends the explosive into the building.
Yeah, the nitro.
Kind of right as Jim West and Artemis Gordon are meeting each other.
Sure.
That's Kevin Kline's character, and the movie is off and running, so to speak. That's the blow up. The blow up of the entire plot and the jumping off point, so to speak. So, what do you guys think of Kevin Kline? This is our first time we get to see him in the scene as in drag, but what did you think overall of his performance in this movie?
I think the two of them together were fun.
Mm-hmm.
There was certain, I felt like the whole dynamic between them was supposed to be that they hated each other, and that eventually in the end they become buddies. But for the most part, they dislike each other and they don't want to work with each other. And I felt like, to me, that was played off decently well enough to where it wasn't like it made the movie. How do I say it? It didn't make it noticeable that like the chemistry technically didn't work, because if it didn't work, you couldn't tell because they were supposed to not really get along to begin with. At least that's how I
understand what
think
you're saying.
Just like a cover up, because in the original show, I mean, the relationship between those two were like best friends,
right?
Well, yeah, but that didn't start in the first season. So I went back and watched the first season, and it was a similar situation where they were brought together and they didn't really get along in the beginning in the first season. So it was kind of like, well, you have your ways and I have my ways. But then by the second season, they were like best buds. Absolutely.
Tanner, did you like Kevin Kline in this movie?
I felt like some of the jokes he made were hit or miss.
Yeah.
I like the dynamic. You know what? It almost read to me like an anti-buddy cop movie, because they generally, there's a lot of antagonism there.
There really is.
I thought the dynamic worked okay. Kevin Kline, when he was trying to be funny, it was a little bit. He came across a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I mean,
It was all right.
there's the typical trope of a buddy movie, which is, I'll teach you how to rely on your, intelligence and your gadgets, and I'll teach you how to use a gun in the end, and just shoot from the hip. And so they'll teach each other how to do it their way.
Become best friends by the end of the movie.
That's right, exactly. So
The dynamic I could compare it to is I felt like 48 Hours
okay,
with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy.
All right. Yeah.
They were just very much like just salt and pepper, no pun intended.
I think I'll get into it in a little bit when I think we get to this, but I think there's a big reason why I really like Kevin Kline's performance in this movie, but not so much Will Smith's, and I think I'll be able to tell you why in a minute. Okay. At this point, with the next part of the movie is when Will Smith rolls up to the White House, which is not something a sight you really see, where there's just a bunch of sheep grazing on the White House lawn, and he rolls up there and speaks with the president, which is Ulysses S. Grant in this movie. Also,
Which is also Kevin Kline?
played by Kevin Kline.
I thought he was amazing as Ulysses S. Grant.
He played the fake version and the actual version.
Yes.
Of him.
He played the fake version. Yeah, he played the fake and the real and the fake.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
I've gone cross-eyed.
Not confusing at all.
not confusing at all. It was. I thought he did really, really good. And this is essentially where he's. It's that scene from every buddy cop movie ever. You guys are gonna be partners, right?
Yeah.
And he the thing that I love, this is bad guy school 101, right? When you send a letter to tell the good guys everything that you're going to do.
Sure, here's the big plan. Here's what I'm doing.
Here's the big plan. And so Ulysses S. Grant has all of the bad guys' dastardly plans, and they're going to act accordingly.
Do you think George Clooney would have been a better fit? Because he was originally cast to play this.
No way.
Wait,
No,
what?
dead serious. George Clooney was originally cast to play
Artemis?
Artemis, yeah.
Wow.
Artemis's part.
I can't
And
see
he
that.
backed out because I guess him and the director kind of thought that this wasn't going to be right for him and such. But
Good move on his part.
Yeah, well, that was super
Not a
smart.
bad idea.
But yeah, no. That's
No, instead he went to go do Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
that guy.
you're right. This is a year after Batman and Robin. That was
Right.
98. This was 99. Imagine
That's
if
probably why he was like,
imagine if he'd gone back to back with that and this.
done.
He may have never recovered.
No.
That's a big time what if.
I wanted to make I know we're probably going to discuss this later.
Mm-hmm.
The whole villain trope of sending a letter, be like, "Mwahaha, this is my evil plan." Okay, I want to point this out. Not once, but twice does he have the heroes in his clutches and
Yes.
doesn't kill them.
Yes.
Like, but I'm again, I can buy it. It's okay. It's a little goofy. It's the whole James Bond of like, no, I expect you to die, and
That's
then
right.
I'm going to go into another room and not directly observe you dying.
That's the old Austin Powers thing, right? The Austin Powers
exactly.
joke where he says, "No, I'm just going to leave him here with one inept guard and assume it all went to plan. What's the big deal?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like-
that's definitely a trope in itself.
Yes.
It's like the bullet is not too good for a hero. It's just it's a movie. It's a movie. It's
Yeah, and
okay.
So this is and I guess I'm going to jump into this, Kurt, because you kind of brought it up, but he's very aggressive with Artemis at the White House here, Jim West, I mean, at the White House. Then when they get on his train and kind of continuously throughout the movie, I don't feel like Jim West has anywhere near or at least they haven't earned it within the film, the motivation to be so aggressive and horrible towards Artemis Gordon.
Well, and I feel like he's the cool guy, and Artemis is the nerd.
I guess.
So like he doesn't have time to like show him how to be cool because he's too cool for it.
But
so there's a moment where Artemis is finally like, "I like you. I want to be like you," and he's like, "All right." Like,
but he goes beyond that, like the fact that he literally like takes every opportunity to insult him, to
I agree with you.
draw his gun on him, to smack him around.
Sure. I agree with you, but I
Right?
feel like it goes back to, do you remember the Looney Tunes? And do you remember the little dog with the big dog? And he's like, gee, what are we going to do today, Spike?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's that
But I don't
same dynamic.
But I don't see Artemis as the little yappy dog. He's just as capable and good at his job as Will Smith is. He just does it differently.
Sure, I understand.
Will Smith drew his gun on so many people during that movie.
Yes.
I was like, dude, just use your words.
And this is what I have.
Words.
This is what I have down here. I think the reason I don't like Will Smith in this movie
Because he's angry.
is he's just kind of a dick.
Yeah.
He is a dick.
Independence Day in Men in Black, he was very likable, right? Especially even though
He has
Kay,
charisma.
right? He had charisma. He was just a jerk to everybody in this movie. He would like make, like handicap jokes about Loveless, which I get that's the bad guy. But like at that point, he didn't know he was the bad guy. And he's super aggressive towards everybody. He's kind of mean to Salma Hayek. He's just, the entire movie, by the end, I came like, you know what? I think the problem is his character was just kind of a dick the whole movie.
Yeah,
To me.
no, I get it, but I just, I mean, I
There's some of the reason why, compared to the other movies of hit that I love him in, I didn't really, even though he was still
well,
doing
and
the
I
Will
guess
Smith
maybe that's what attracted him to it. Maybe it was going to be a different role for him. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that's kind of the way that they wanted it to go.
With all the boobs and butts. I mean, there you go.
Okay.
Hey, if I wanted to see gratuitous butt shots, I'd just watch Black Widow.
Fair enough.
I mean, if I wanted to watch some side cheek, I go back to Beastmaster.
That's right. Beastmaster's got all the side cheek you could ever want.
Yeah. Side cheek.
So at this point in the movie, the next big scene is this ball, this party that they're going to go to at Loveless's place, right? And they have this, I thought was a pretty funny scene of them trying to decide what they're going to wear, and they have that whole touch my breast.
Yes. And the train
Driver
conductor
just
comes in.
like, what is going on?
That's right. Yes. And what did he have in there? Because he filled it with water.
Lead shot.
Buckshot?
Lead shot. Yeah, from like.
Right.
He's like, no, you got to use water.
And then he pours it down the sink. I feel like as a plumber, that might have upset you.
I don't think they had sinks back then.
Well, that was a sink he poured
I think
it
it's
in.
just a bowl.
Oh.
They had just bowls where
Because I immediately thought of you. I thought, they're pouring buckshot down
I
the
thought
drain.
about it. I'm not gonna lie, but then I had to look it up and I went, oh, they didn't have drains back then.
That's right.
They have
just had
giant
bowls.
mechanical monsters. They
That's
have
right.
flying vehicles. They have all this stuff. And they
No
don't
indoor
have
plumbing.
Plumbing?
No plumbing.
No.
Yeah,
Look, I might say some of their gadgets might be slightly anachronistic.
Why you got to use such big words?
Don't say.
What did you guys think of them being
documentary?
That's right. What did you guys think of them being able to find out where the ball was even happening at through the eyeballs of a dead person's head?
totally realistic.
I thought it was neat. I thought it was funny that here's Artemis Gordon figures everything out, but then it's like, oh, I forgot to put on the glasses.
I know. That was good.
Oh, sorry. It was just like, whatever happens, I'll buy it. Whatever.
You kind of have to.
Cool.
You kind of have to,
it's
right?
Cool. It's cool.
And I think this is a good example of where they went a little bit too far with some jokes, right? So
The kaleidoscope head you think was too far?
No, I meant with the comedy of it. So, for example, there's a rule within comedy called the rule of three, right? And you go back to a joke 3 times. That's like just an agreed upon rule since the days of vaudeville, okay? Because it works. And he does this is a man's head. And you build it each time, and that's a funny joke, but he did it 4 times. And by the 4th time, I'm like, it's not funny anymore. So just right there is an example where they did this kind of throughout the movie, where the joke was funny, they could have stopped, and then they just went another step further.
Yeah.
Like when he's being seduced by Miss East at the ball.
Miss East, that was her
Miss
name.
East.
I couldn't think of her name.
And he shoots all the dudes in the paintings. That was hilarious. Okay.
That was cool.
It has that great reveal shot where the camera pans out, and as he walks out, you realize there was all these dudes
In the paintings.
in these other
right.
paintings. But then he shoots one more and he falls from the ceiling. I'm like, that's stupid. There's not a painting up there.
Yeah.
and you didn't have to add that one more guy as you're coming out of the room. The joke was already funny. I was starting to laugh, and then that ruined it to me.
I gotcha.
From
What
a comedy
would that even
standpoint.
look like on the ceiling? Is it like a fresco above? Like, how is he being held there?
That's what I'm saying.
It was that Michelangelo painting with God and whatever, reaching out and trying to touch fingers.
Right. But that's just my point of that. Those are just some times where they had the joke nailed, and then they just didn't know when to stop. Because sometimes with comedy, it's just knowing, like having that discretion of when to stop.
Do you think you can actually light up a person standing and actually make it look like they're a two-dimensional painting?
The perspective. Was very
I mean, the fact that he
confusing.
walked in the room.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen maybe the pictures or the paintings more concave where they were standing, to where at least it looked like they were in the painting.
He didn't have his depth perception was off.
I guess.
Yeah.
Because of the explosion recently at the nitroglycerin. I mean,
they're painting something that we have to believe.
Sorry, I apologize. I'm getting.
Fine. You're fine. I just started laughing because I was just going to bring up, yes, because we're in that room already, Miss East and that whole seduction attempt by her when, for no reason at all, we get the flash to the camera of her. Like, he can't see that, right? That was strictly just like, let's stick this camera up this girl's butt. And this is where I started to go, okay, this seems a little bit sophomoric in,
Well, yeah, but okay. So I'm gonna, and again, you can go ahead and feel how you feel.
Yes.
Your feelings are validated. However, what I'm going to say is he was trying to do the pencil drawing to find out where they were going, and I think that was her way of sitting on it so he couldn't take the paper.
Oh, right. No, but I'm saying, but the point of showing her backside.
I understand. It was just an added effect to I'm just going to sit on this paper.
It just seems gratuitous.
So she just hotboxed it.
She just hotboxed the sketch that he was trying to get.
And now there's butt print all over my map. Thanks a lot, lady. You got your oils on it.
He's like, all right, I got a sketch of where they're going, and all he sees is ass. That's it.
There's two dots on this.
He's like, all right, we're gonna go up this road, and then we got to go left or right, and I'm not sure.
Do I gotta go east? I can't. What's going on?
The roads just converge like this. He's like, no, I don't think that's a road.
That's a bit of a microcosm for the movie because the director had an idea of where they wanted to go, and then they just put us in it.
That's right. Exactly. It's like, you know what? I don't know if this is working. See if she'll show her butt.
Throw your butt up on there. Is that okay? We okay with that?
This will save the scene.
Yeah. Well, what actually I thought worked best in the ball scene they had that scene where Lovelace comes out and they have that back and forth between
oh my gosh, I love
him
that.
and Jim. The puns.
Yes,
I know you love that kind of stuff.
I loved it.
That was what?
I'm sorry. No, everybody at the party was the most inept idiots in the world. There's a bunch of people in a room having a party.
Yeah.
Okay. You could audibly hear a woman scream for help from the dance floor. Nobody cared. Only Jim West was like, there's a woman screaming up there. Gunshots go off in rooms. I mean,
you're right. He fires off all those guns.
Everything.
For the shots.
Yeah, everything that happened in that scene. I think I'm being. I know who my dumpsters of trash, my garbage pans of dirt was that pretty much the entire background cast of that
party
skit could have been played by just garbage cans full of
and
like, it wouldn't have mattered.
At the end, they're all out there trying to lynch somebody for touching somebody's boobies.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was actually a hilarious joke that worked really well because the girl looked exactly like Artemis Gordon did in drag. And he walks up and he just starts literally patty caking her.
Yeah, because this was after the whole boob talk. And it's like, oh, those look better. Good job.
Yeah. It's like,
I like later on when Will Smith is about to be lynched and he's trying to explain himself.
Yes.
And they keep cutting back to the girl and she's at first really upset, but when he tries to explain, she's like, oh, okay, I get it now. too. Like, that was good.
The best line in that whole scene is when he goes, in my native land, and somebody goes, Georgia?
Georgia?
Yeah. He's like, no, Africa.
Yeah, man. And during that whole time when he's going to get lynched, which I remember thinking, well, geez, that's a horrible thing to send your friend out to, because Artemis is the one that eggs everybody on, not realizing he'd given them like this stretchy rope. And while he's doing that, Artemis goes and saves Salma Hayek's character, who's chained up upstairs. And that's how we get the three of them together. He's able to escape the lynch attempt because the rope that Artemis gave the mob was stretchy. And he uses the rope to slingshot himself into the wagon, and then the three of them escape and get away.
All the while still pulling a gun out on Artemis again.
Yeah.
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 And I guess this is as good a time as any to say Salma Hayek serves almost no purpose in this movie.
No.
We'll come back to her. And, it's the thing. Here's the thing, too. And I go back to what I said before. All of these actors have done really good movies. None of the main cast have, they're not bad actors.
Yeah.
Just, I don't think that Salma Hayek really knew what to do with the role. That was my impression.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just very underutilized cast.
No, I agree.
There was a part of me, though, when Loveless was going through his speech.
Which part?
The speech at the party.
No,
Yeah.
which part of you?
Oh, my.
He's spinning around in his wheelchair.
My
He
laughter.
does a lot.
My laughter, that part of me. Anyway, so the speech, what cracked me up is, no, I got it. I'm
Which
very
part
well
of
aware
you?
of the joke. I just didn't think it was funny. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry I didn't laugh out loud at it. So upset over there.
Your bowels were entertained.
At least the lower half of my intestine.
That's what I'm saying. All right, what was it? The speech that he gave at the party?
Yeah, I thought it was really funny because there was with how deep his southern accent was.
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting for him to be like, "Why, Mr. Bodico, I do declare flowers for me. Why, you are my hero."
That was
you're so handsome.
okay, but what's I know you're kidding, but you just sounded just like him
Yeah,
there.
I'm
He
just
did.
saying.
It
It's,
was pretty spot on.
And Ken Branagh has said in interviews that he thinks this is the worst American accent that an Englishman
I thought it was great.
has ever done in a movie. But I thought he, like I said, understood the assignment and was over the top. I assume that was on purpose. It was great.
Let me make a
Yeah.
comment to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen a lot of movies in my day. British actors can do a flawless American accent. It does not go the other way. I don't care. It's like, and I love him, and I love the movie, but Keanu Reeves in the Dracula, like, oh boy, I don't know what it is, but I know.
Why you got to do my boy like that,
him.
Tanner? Why you got to do
I
my
love
boy like
Keanu,
that? That's my guy.
movie. But boy, that was not great. That was not the best part.
No,
of that
it was
movie.
terrible. He also did one in Much Ado About Nothing. It was bad too.
The Matrix would have been better with Will Smith.
No, it would not have. No,
Okay.
how dare you?
I don't know.
as who?
I don't
Will
think
Smith.
so.
Will Smith turned it down.
That was the big thing.
Yeah.
He turned it down to do Wild Wild West.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the joke.
That's
Yes.
That
Oh,
was a
sorry.
all our jokes
All
are
right.
going over our heads today.
That's all right. So we're gonna move on. At this point, they head out and they find out that Lovelace is headed to Utah. This is
Utah.
after
Utah.
he uses his tank to
U.S.
destroy right
Yes,
all of this.
transforming tank.
He has like this
train
tank.
thing.
Well, he uses it to kill all these soldiers,
Yeah.
like Bloodbath McGrath's
Yeah.
guys. He's like, ha ha, lol, I killed all your guys, and he's really not happy about it. So
No.
he shoots him and
Yeah,
is like, all right,
no
well
look
then
shoot.
I'm not your friend anymore, and then shoots him. But he's mad at him because he surrendered, or was part of the the losing side of the Civil War essentially. And so McGrath was just kind of unceremoniously dispatched in this movie
Yeah.
by Lovelace.
By the way, with the whole Loveless thing, going back to the what I was going to say before, what I find hilarious that Lovelace's character in the original movie or original show was played by a little person.
Yes.
So I don't know if there was actual reference here or something. They're like, well, we need somebody small, but we don't want a actual little person, so let's just cut him in half.
We'll just have half of Kenneth Branagh.
We'll make him little.
Yeah, we'll make him little. Like, I don't know if like that was an actual conversation. If it was, that would have been great.
Well, and I think he's combined between two characters from the old show, because it was Loveless, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but he's a mad scientist in that original series. I think he was only on like 3 or 4 episodes, but
Yeah.
so
they combined the two people,
and then divided in half.
Yes, and then divide by half.
Divide by half.
Well,
Add
kind
together.
of like in Conan the Barbarian, Thulsa Doom was kind of a combination of that character and like a snake cultist, right?
Yep.
Am I wrong? Okay.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Conan the Conqueror episode, but man, nothing beats the original.
Oh, the original can't be touched.
Right.
The original's great. I know these kind of ridiculous conversations take place. So in this case, there may have been a combination of characters. But one of my favorite things about these movies is to imagine the discussions around tables like this one, right? Of these high-level executives talking about the stupidest things and why we should go one way and dividing the minutia of these decisions. It's always hilarious to me. But in this case, sorry.
They kill McGrath's men and then basically get the boat, transforms into a tank, which also transforms into a train.
And so we end up like with this in the middle of this train
Transformer movie.
Yeah.
sorry.
We end up in the middle of this train battle, right? Where what I thought was a really cool moment where they come out of the tunnel underneath the other train, and then it lowers itself down. And I thought, okay, that's legitimately cool. And they're trying to follow him to Utah. They were gonna, and this is again another example of Jim West just kind of being a dick, right? He's just gonna leave Salma Hayek's character there. Why? Because I might sleep with her. That seemed to be like the reasoning behind why not take her with.
Well, yeah, he was just saying that she was a distraction for the two of them. Yeah,
that's lame. She gives you all the information that you need, and then she leaves her there. But she ends up, in a way that's never explained, being shot back into the train.
Yeah, no.
And the hydraulic train ends up getting behind them and starts to shoot. And I thought it was a really cool action sequence. So I want to, when we have the opportunity to give credit to the movie, I thought that was actually one scene that was done really well.
I like the mechanicals of the, I think Tanner was saying earlier about, just the way that like the steampunk way things are like working through steam.
Cool.
Yeah. Like,
and like, wires and pulleys and
chair and the everything in there.
Yeah, the visual effects people on this, I'll give extra kudos to.
Oh yeah,
it's not just the fact of the train just lowers, and we'll go into the spider later.
Yeah,
it's how they really had the mechanics down. It comes down, it was jarring, and then it comes down, and the sound and the tension of the wires and the snaps.
Yeah,
I mean all of that really sold it. I mean for a 1999 visual effect,
right? Everything had weight.
Really, the way, it had weight.
Sometimes CGI stuff just looks like it's
garbage.
Garbage. It's not right there. It's floating. It doesn't. But it
looks like an MST3K bit.
Yeah.
They defeat the guys and essentially have them imprisoned. And this is getting to what Tanner was talking about earlier, where he has them in his clutches. And there's this awful moment where he says, well, I really like Salma Hayek's character. I might become familiar.
Yeah.
And I immediately, but in my head, the immediate question was, how? And then that question is answered in the worst way possible.
To the mechanical dildo.
I was like, bro, that was awful. That response.
I got a steam-powered piston.
It's like we didn't need, I would have.
Yeah, my head already envisioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, if we didn't have that. And it goes back to, it's very sophomore. I mean, later on, they literally fall into a giant pit of shit.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's
in
like,
the middle of a cornfield.
In the middle of a cornfield. It's like,
never mind.
Yeah,
sorry, I know.
No. It's coming up right here, and it is totally ridiculous. But that's a moment where they just went a little bit too far. He could have just made a comment you know,
Yeah.
from a comedy standpoint. And yeah, it's gross, but maybe it would have been funny. But the cut to the machine going like with the big
You know
throbbing
what that
piston.
reminded me of is in Idiocracy when he is. Did y'all watch Idiocracy?
Oh yeah, Macho Camacho.
Okay, like
Come on.
Monday Night Rehabilitation, and they have the monster trucks.
Yes.
Like, no, that's not what I want to
That's
see.
what I want to see. Yeah. But this is basically Bad Guy School 201, right? We did 101 before with the letter. Bad Guy School 201. When you've got the good guys trapped, as you're pulling away in the train, make sure you tell them where your lab is and where you're going to meet the president.
Yes.
You're just like the assumption, the arrogance to be like, I know so much that you're going to die. I'm going to tell you exactly what the next plot point, place I'm going to is next.
And I'm going to go back to my lab and spot a point, and then I'm going to go see the president.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really like spiders.
And then leave them with the
West Marshall.
and then leave them with the spider discs
That's right.
to chase them down, and then eventually falling into the muck and mud.
So here's
Was it mud or was it poop?
I assumed it was crap, but it might have been mud. I don't know. It's a farm field, right?
I just thought it was the runoff from the field.
There
Maybe.
is an 80-foot chasm in the middle of a cornfield, and you can see the actual direction of the corn that was planted, right?
Yes.
And it was, I don't know. I'm done.
I thought there was just it was was it just a little too random for you? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That there's just a giant chasm. Like imagine the guy that's got to till that field.
Exactly.
How did he get it? If it's for fertilizer, which I still am not clear on what it is, because the way they reacted, I'm like, they're in poop or like.
That's what I was judging it off of, was their reaction. They didn't seem like they were a little more grossed out than had it just been mud.
Okay,
but
I wasn't clear.
I don't know.
It was still like it was unnecessary.
Well, and this is also Exhibit 47 as to why Jim West is just a dick. Is he's just like, I'm just stepping out of this thing like immediately, like before you even give him a chance to figure out what's happening.
Yeah,
I don't got time for this, and I'm like, you were such a jerk, dude. I was like, come on, Artemis would have been able to figure out some way to get you out of this if you'd given him literally 5 minutes to think about it.
Oh, look. There's my tools floating on top of the poop water.
But it does set up.
Yeah.
It does set up the fact that he's been such a dick.
Yes.
It does set up the blow up from Artemis, where he literally points all of that out.
Yes,
I actually did enjoy that.
That's a great moment when he says, "Because I am the," what does he call him? The master of
the
stuff,
mechanical
of the mechanical stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Someone who will remain nameless, Jim West.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. Can you reverse the polarity of a magnet by hitting it?
No. So if you had a magnet, if they were magnets, true magnets,
yes.
First of all, they'd be repelling each other, so they couldn't stand next to each other.
Which might have also been funny.
Let's say you hit it with a rock, and then it changes polarity, and then they clamp together at the neck. Then you wouldn't have that whole fall on the ground, and his boot goes up. No, his boot would have went up. His belt buckle, literally, they would have imploded into each other.
Yeah.
Just, every metal part would have just pulled into each other.
It only worked when the writer thought it would be best.
Why am I?
This is why I have you here to answer these kinds of questions.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm tired of having these weird, way off physics things that just don't make sense.
It really offends him
to
personally.
refer back to Mystery Science Theater, this is the movie equivalent of just repeat to yourself, it's just a show. Really just relax.
That's right.
Just enjoy.
That's right.
And it is frustrating, the lack of any sort of logic.
But your favorite part is coming up, Joe. Right after this,
I'm
the
done.
spider shows up.
Where the magnet drags them all the way back to the train tracks?
That's right.
Oh, look.
It's the
These
thing we
train
needed.
tracks. Let's just follow these back into Utah.
Right.
Is there somebody following behind the train, covering up the train tracks with
Yes.
dust?
It's a guy with a leaf blower.
Yeah.
Javier's got his.
He's got leaf blower hands. And they're steam powered.
They got steam powered leaf blowers.
Yeah.
Well, so not to get too far ahead, but the guy with the henchman with two knives on his hands.
Knife hands and
Frankenstein. How does he like open a door? And someone like let him in, like, all right, go.
He wedges it open.
They've got to airlift him into the spider everywhere. That's why he's a very expensive henchman to have.
Yeah.
And also very random. In fact, we'll get to that now because this is when the spider shows up, right? The giant spider that famously the Mr. Peters, John Peters, the producer, wanted to put in that Superman movie that Kevin Smith was writing.
With Nicolas Cage.
And with Nick Cage. That never happened.
Boy.
Great documentary about that, by the way.
Jim.
Yeah. That would be definitely be talking about that movie right now. And
that movie's cool.
Exactly. So but they stuck it in this movie, but I actually thought it fit because they'd established the whole gadgetry steampunk thing.
It did.
And I thought the spider was actually pretty cool.
It was the best part of the whole movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
You see all the cables moving and the wheels turning and the whole thing's going.
Cool.
Other than the fact that the size of the spider changed dramatically. Like at one point, it's like the size of a city. Next point, it's only like 2 stories tall.
Right.
I mean, other than that.
Right. And sometimes with scale on CGI stuff, they really struggle with scale. And so that's fair.
It's a long way to go.
It's like the first Incredible Hulk movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy.
Yes.
The Ang Lee one.
Yeah.
Yeah, his size changed all the time.
All the time. I'm 15 feet high. I'm 8 feet high. I'm 3 stories tall. And I'm angry.
That's right.
That's how I am. I am angry.
You're angry?
Movie.
So this is the first time they catch up to the spider, they're on horseback, right? So they ride their horses up to the spider, and they don't do very well. They're all captured. I mean, Jim West is seemingly killed. He did have this very funny line where he climbs up there and says, Loveless's mama sent me. She said, come on home, stop all this foolishness.
I did like that a lot.
That's kind of a classic Will Smith thing. And then, he's seemingly killed. And they are all captured. And then, again, he loves his like pomp and circumstance. So he's having this big ceremony where
spinning around in his wheelchair. They're going to divide up the United States between Spain and England and Mexico.
Right.
And then, Loveless has got basically the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And
I was going to say, is this all taking place in the spider?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Clear.
But it's not clear.
Yeah. Because, did they just park the spider for a little bit and was like, all right, everybody, we're going to have a meeting.
And they have a giant ballroom inside of the spider.
Let's all round up to the ballroom and have ourselves a meeting.
That's a lot of people to fit on the spider because there was hundreds of people there.
Well, yeah, and as the thing's walking, are people like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Definitely. When you saw it later in the movie, it was jarring. They were like, they're doing the Star Trek thing, like when the ship is getting hit, all the actors have to pretend.
Everybody lean left, everybody lean right.
And all of that with no plumbing.
None, no plumbing at all.
No plumbing.
So, y'all, there's a gif of Star Trek with where they removed the camera shakes, and it just looks so silly because the actors are just like,
oh yeah,
it was good.
This is the moment when Will Smith shows up in drag. And
with the flamethrower boobies,
which was just kind of really dumb, right?
This is the worst part. And okay, giant spider, hands down, the coolest part. He's supposed to be like a genius, and 2 times in the movie, the whole drag pretending to be a woman thing works, and I'm like, this was stupid. I thought
they went back to the well.
Stupid.
They went back to the well too many times.
Yeah,
but essentially, it works at least as well as it needs to with his flamethrower boobs, and they're able to.
Just the way you dismiss that, it works really good for the boobs, and
because these types of things are matter of fact in this movie, right? There's just
oh yeah,
it is what it is. But and another matter of fact thing, he's already cracked the mystery of flight, and forget the Wright brothers and 1903 or whenever that was, Artemis Gordon already knew about lift versus drag and rotation and all of that.
In his Air Gordon?
In his Air Gordon.
Okay, that was all right. I was like, all right, I'll take it. So, and he kind of seems to do it. Does he build that, or did he already have it built?
I think he builds it, but apparently he builds it in 5 minutes. I don't know.
Well, no, it's his bike that he added wings to.
Oh, he added wings to his bike. That's what it was. Because it was his rocket-powered bike.
Yeah. Well, because it's like he says, oh, I've tried it before, but, well, I guess I'm just going to, on a whim, solve the problem of human flight. And, it's cool. He's supposed to be smart.
No, that's fine. But the other thing that's annoying is we got another trope alert. Is every time anybody flies in a movie, they do that thing where they nosedive in and we're supposed to believe they crashed before they pull back up into the camera.
Yep.
Everyone knows it's coming. It's been done 1,000 times. Why are we still doing this in every single movie?
Because I fell for it.
The director's cut just had them crash. They played the end.
Right, are we supposed to think the movie's just over and they crash?
I did. I fell for it. I thought they were going to die. I was convinced. I was reaching for the remote. And I was like, nope.
Yep, my movie's over.
This movie's over. And oh my God, they pulled it out.
Wow.
This is amazing.
Amazing.
Joe, I want to ask you about this. So apparently when they get back onto the Spider, they had to do extensive reshoots here because originally they only had them fighting Loveless's lovelies, right? It was just the women that were on the Spider. And apparently test audiences thought, that's really weird that it's just these two fighting a bunch of girls.
Yeah.
So they went back and reshot and added these, what I call the Judge Dredd reject guys. Because it seemed like they should have been part of Paw's family in
very much
Judge
so.
Dredd. What'd you think about those guys?
This was at the time I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think they were
cool. The only thing that ruined it, and it was the beautiful choreographed thing, and then they just falling flat on the face. Was the Frankenstein guy at the end?
Oh,
he's like he's unstoppable. He's getting hit in the head. Nothing's gonna stop him. There he goes. I'm gonna reach up and short circuit falls out.
Yeah, that was so lame.
Really? All of that build up just for that.
Why would he hit him in the head if he clearly has an armored head?
Yeah, over and over.
The one part because doesn't he hit him in the head with a wrench or something?
He hits him in the head
just a week ago
with a giant pipe wrench, and he does it multiple times, even though it's not working.
Yeah,
only for him to short circuit.
Just don't go for the. They were cool.
Yeah, but you know what was not cool? What was not cool was no more Mr. Knife Guy.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
You didn't like that pun?
Yes. No. I was just like, oh, that's so bad.
It felt a little bit like we're just delaying the inevitable, but I mean, they were all right. I get of getting the knife hands guy into the fight. It was like, all right, guys, I've killed him now.
Yeah.
Bang, open the door.
Did you like when Lovelace grew his own legs out of the bottom of his wheelchair thing?
I thought it was cool.
I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
It made him into like a centaur, like a mechanical centaur.
Yeah.
And then he puts that hoof right on Jim West's face. He's about to crush it.
And Artemis gets his big moment, and he shoots the hydraulics.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
a handicap
sir.
man.
You missed. No, I didn't.
That's right.
Yep.
And the heroes win, and the Secret Service is formed.
Yeah.
And they, and that's essentially the end of the movie, guys.
You guys are going to be a part of my team.
One more point to that.
Yes.
They're debating which of them is number one and which is number two. I'm like, really? That's really what we're going for?
I know.
Okay, and one more. Before, when Will Smith and Loveless are hanging over the edge of the cliff, they're still making jabs at each other. I was like, really? Guys, just get it together.
Honestly, at this point in the movie, they should be best buds. But there's it's just not happening.
With Loveless and Will Smith when he's about to drop him. Yeah, I was like, dude.
That too, right? When they're still.
Yeah.
Like,
I just feel like that's their dynamic,
It was
though.
all played out by that point. Yeah.
I hear you.
I
mean, that to me was what made it funny for the first. And maybe this plays back to what you were saying about the jokes being overdone. When they were doing back and forth between, all the puns, and then they brought it back again right before he dies.
Yeah.
I think maybe just one or two lines probably would have been fine, but just the fact that they brought it back and
it was overplayed.
Yeah.
It was overplayed.
All right, well, guys, it's time to give some awards out here to Wild Wild West, as we always do. We're going to give some flowers to a movie that didn't get any, probably, from anybody that actually gives out actual awards. So we're going to do it ourselves here. And what we're going to do is start, as we always do, with the Will Patton Award for intensity. So who was it in this movie, in a supporting role or smaller, that was just bringing the intensity 110%?
Is there even a question on that one? I think we can all agree on one person.
I'm going with McGrath.
Yeah.
I've got McGrath. How about you, Tanner?
McGrath, 100%.
Is that who you had?
Loveless. I thought we were all going to go Loveless.
Oh, no.
Because he.
Well, it's a small role.
He did bring the intensity. That was what I was thinking about. I was like, he's in the movie a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas McGrath, and I didn't remember whether McGrath was in it or not, but when I was watching it,
McGrath seemed like he was going to burst a blood vessel almost every time he's on screen. I just felt like that guy was dialed in. Right. Ted Levine. So
all right,
we'll give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Ted Levine is the Will Patton Award winner for intensity. So good job, Ted. And now we're moving on to our Trash Can Full of Dirt Award, which is not the award you want to win. Which person in this movie, or in Joe's case, we know it's multiple people.
Yeah.
Whose parts could have been played by a trash can full of dirt. So, you sticking with your party goers?
No, not really.
Okay.
To be honest with you, it kills me to do this, but Selma Hayek's part.
Selma Hayek. Two votes for Selma Hayek.
Yeah, 3 votes for Selma
Hayek. Oh, all right. Well, it looks like she's beautiful.
She didn't know what to do with the role, and she's a good actress, and I don't think she really knew what to do with it. And she kind of shows up to give, and this is not her fault, but she shows up to give exposition, and then they're just sort of like, okay, you're done now. Shoo. That didn't seem fair, but she didn't do the delivery was not good.
I hear you.
To be honest, she's a breath of fresh ass.
God.
For me, I mean, we're going to go with Selma because that's, 3 votes. I just had pick any of Loveless's lovelies here. I mean, they all kind of were like, stone-faced.
Not Lippen Reader.
Miss Lippen Reader, Nisha, any of them. They were literally could have been trash cans full of dirt.
I think it's funny that you have Lippen Reader, who has a very thick German accent. So she's trying to tell you what people are saying.
Yeah.
All right. And then we've got our top 3 performances. So we want to talk about the people that you felt gave from third to first the best performances in this movie. Joe, you got your top 3?
Yeah. We'll go Will Smith.
Okay.
Loveless.
Okay.
The names. And then honestly, the little dog that comes in when
the RCA joke.
The RCA joke.
That was cool. I forgot about that.
Sold it.
Okay.
That acting, or actually not even that guy who decided to put that in, he's the winner.
Only 2 people
He's the winner.
better than the dog.
2 people and a dog.
Got it.
That's awesome.
All right. Who you got for your top 3?
I'm going Will Smith at 3. I enjoyed Kevin Kline, but only as U.S. Ulysses Grant.
Oh.
I liked him.
Okay.
And then I really love Loveless.
Okay.
He, to me, was by far my favorite part of the whole movie.
Ken Branagh.
Absolutely.
All right. Tanner, how about you? Who's your top 3?
Pretty close to Joe's. Will Smith, 3. Kenneth Branagh, 2. He brought it 100%.
Yep.
Ted Levine.
All right.
I feel like he did a really great job. I bought it.
From a purely acting standpoint.
Was gross,
yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're all kind of similar. I got a different number 1. Kenneth Branagh was number 3 for me. He was great. Ted Levine was number 2. Super intense. But I had Kevin Kline in the number 1 spot. Kevin Kline has some serious comedy chops, and there were some line deliveries and specifically reactions and deadpan deliveries of some lines that were legitimately funny. And in a better movie, I think this performance would be better appreciated. So Kevin Kline, I thought, was the best performer in this movie. So we got to ask the question now, guys. Now that we've poked and prodded this movie, is Wild Wild West a bad movie that's bad, a bad movie that rules, or a fully good movie? What do you guys think?
I think it's a bad. I think it's a bad movie that rules.
Okay.
That I know I've been a stickler on little details and this and that, but
yeah.
If I want to, I can shut that part of my brain off.
Perfect.
And definitely enjoy the little show.
All right, awesome. Kurt?
I'm going the same way, man. It's
a bad movie that rules?
It's a bad movie that rules. I mean, that's why we call this show what it is.
I know, but sometimes we have movies on here, it turns out, are just actually bad.
What? Which one? No. You tell me one.
Garbage Pail Kids?
Jim Cotta?
Oh, you shut your dirty mouth. I love both of those movies. How dare you?
All right, Tanner, how about you?
Jim Cotta.
Same thing. Bad movie that rules.
Bad movie that rules.
It, but it's not an objectively good film.
I have to agree with all of you. I think we're all on the same page. I think
so.
No one can look at this and say this is a great, well made, well written, well executed film. Right? But I had fun. I watched it and I had a good time. Yeah. It's got its problems, but I think this movie rules. It's a bad movie, but it rules.
Yeah.
Well, look, guys, I appreciate that you've been on here. Tanner, when can we expect season 2 of Pit of the West?
Oh, it'll be a little while. I'm on the 3rd script. I think there's going to be about 8, but I have a day job, so next year. I'm
just trying to put pressure on you because I want it as fast as possible. So, don't feel like.
No, I'm good. I have really bad grammar, so it's going to need a lot of editing.
Gotcha. It's all good. Well, hey man, I appreciate you took the time to be with us on here again. Check out Pit of the West, and also throw our man a follow on Twitter. It's at Pit of the West on Twitter, and he can be found on there as well. So I think it's an exciting time of year, guys, because it's that time of the year where we got a couple of Christmas movies lined up. And I know that there's at least one Christmas movie that's good. We usually talk about, is a movie better with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it? I think there's at least one Christmas movie that's good because Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it. So next week, it's Turbo time, right? We're going to be jumping into Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
When's Jim Cotta coming up?
Jim Cotta already came out. What are you talking about? It came out weeks ago. In the timeline when we're recording this, it will have already been out.
You're right.
What about now?
Yeah, now. Not then, now.
When will then be now?
At the time that we're recording this, Jim Cotta is coming up. It's going to be released next Friday.
He threw it into the future.
That's right. we're operating in December right now, gentlemen.
Oh, I forget about that sometimes.
It's all good. Hey, guys, thank you again for coming. For Tanner Adams, Kurt Mummer, Joseph Gorotowski, I'm James Hauser. Thank you for listening. We love you guys.
For Clubless, I think we should have had one of those spinning spider discs instead of Athena. I'm just saying.
Hey, the Frisbee golf goals are magnetic, and we could have shot it straight.
Exactly.
There.
Oh, man.
All right. Hey, Tanner, appreciate you, buddy. Sorry we got up against the clock there, so we got to run.
No.
But you did awesome, dude. We appreciate you being on.
Yeah, I'd like to be on a future episode.
Nope.
That was fun.
100%, 100%, man.
Cool.
All right, dude. Have a good one.
Yeah, y'all take care.
Later. Bye. Sorry, but my daughter needs a ride to work at 10:45. We still got to do the mailbag. Can you give me my phone so I can try and call
the mailbag? Could we?
Well, I'm going to see if she's walking or if she still needs a ride. But I'm just we started 10 minutes late, so people are going on, and I don't want to be a dick, but I was like, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bummer.
No.
I know.
Yes, I'm gonna come take you. What's wrong? I'm at the loop. I told Grace to tell you that I was gonna come back and grab you and take you. Okay, I'll be there in 2 seconds. I'm literally just at the loop.